Hey there guys, Ignite the Fire here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Schooled, the game show where I go back to all the old Skylanders games to put all the older Skylanders into battle classes like the Senseis and the Skylanders Imaginators. Or at least, that's what the show used to be. I used to take characters like Spitfire right here and put them into battle classes like the Brawler class. You know, kind of ask the question of what if the battle classes were introduced from SSA onwards. But that series is no longer about that because we've already looked at all 10 battle classes and what Skylanders pre-Imaginators would fall into them. So instead, the next half of the series is going to be dedicated to taking the battle class as a theme and manipulating that theme to see all sorts of crazy creative videos we can make out of it. So, the true episode of today's Schooled is none other than asking the question, what if Marvel characters had battle classes from Skylanders Imaginators? So basically, I've assembled a list of main Marvel characters from the MCU in order of their appearance in that cinematic universe. And so basically, there are a few characters that I haven't included, but I've only not included them because A, they're not prominent enough, or B, because I couldn't find a relevant battle class for them. So characters like Mantis, you know, arguably before both of those factors. But anyway, I'm going to waste no time getting into that battle classness right there, so let's get to it. Okay, so starting us off here, we have none other than Iron Man, as everyone would know, the first major MCU hero. And so basically I make this guy none other than a quick shot if he was to be put into a Skylanders Imaginators battle class, purely for the fact that he has two repulsors that fire out of his hands, as you can kind of tell from the image before you. And they are incredibly fast-paced and deadly accurate. That's the whole sophistication of Iron Man's suit. And so really Iron Man is based around speed and maneuverability rather than being more of a weapons expert, or at least that's what I gain the feeling of whenever I see Iron Man, mind you. That's speed and accuracy more so than anything, which is why he's a quick shot all the more. Okay, so next up is War Machine, who has a lot of similarities to Iron Man, which would make you think that he's a quick shot. But as you can see before you, I've instead ranked War Machine as a bazooka, and that's because whilst he is deadly accurate and incredibly fast-paced with his weaponry like Iron Man, he is, however, more of a weapons expert than what Iron Man is. So his armor is armed to the brink with weaponry, which is really what makes him the War Machine, but that also makes him far less maneuverable than Iron Man, so that decreased speed but increased weapon expertness is really what makes War Machine a bazooka rather than a quick shot. For that, and also there is a shoulder cannon to War Machine, as you can tell from the image before you, and that is the most iconic part to his design, and it is bazooka based, so hence we have a bazooka right here. Hulk smash! Okay, so from that alone you can probably tell what class Hulk is. He's very clearly a smasher because he has the mindset of a smasher, wanting to destroy absolutely everything. And then he also has the strength of a smasher as well, the ability to pulverize his opponents, I mean by that, of course. Black Widow, who is very clearly a ninja because she's very acrobatic and rather sneaky, you could say. So yes, she is a spy, and so naturally spies need to be ninja-based in order to be effective at their job. So above all, it's Black Widow's maneuverability and her sneakiness towards combat that makes her a ninja, more so than any other battle class, mind you. Hawkeye is a bow slinger, because he has a bow. End of story. Now, Thor right here is a mixture of classes. He has the kind of strength and brutal power of the Hulk, and he uses that power mostly to smash into things. But I would, however, classify him as a sorcerer personally, for the same reason as Lightning Rod in his respective episode, purely for the fact that he summons lightning, and that summoning ability of his is really what makes him a sorcerer. Now, his hammer is no staff, mind you, but the fact that his hammer is used to channel his lightning summoning is sorcerer-esque based, hence Thor is very much a sorcerer, mind you. Next up, we have Captain America. Now, with him having a shield, you would think he'd be kind of hard to class, but when you take into mind his personality and his character traits, he is honourable and always does the best for the group. He is selfless and just overall a knight because of those honourable selflessness and noble deeds that he is all about. He represents in the MCU all of those traits, and all of those traits are also represented in Skylanders Imaginators by the Knights. So Knights and Captain America very much go together, mind you, and not to mention it's not like his weapon isn't knight-like, because he has a shield, and a lot of Knights used shields, if you could remember back to that respective episode as well. Next up, we have the Winter Soldier, whom is none other than a bazooka, as you can tell from the image above. He is very much a weapons expert. He uses a multitude of different weapons, which aren't necessarily fast-paced, and they are more gigantic-based weaponries, which he uses as a singular weapon rather than dual weapons, mind you. So the fact that he is a weapons expert makes him the bazooka in my personal opinion, and the fact that he uses a singleized weapon makes him more of a bazooka than a quick shot as well. Just thought that was worth mentioning, mind you. To some degrees, Falcon was kind of hard to put into a single battle class, so I would say, just like Thor, he's a mixture of two classes, then being bazooka and quick shot, but I'd say he's more of a quick shot, however, because like Iron Man, his suit is based around maneuverability and speed, and not to mention his most iconic look, besides this one, is when he has the dual pistols, which he fires off at enemies at immense speeds with great accuracy, mind you. So that is why Falcon is none other than a quick shot. Moving on to the Guardians of the Galaxy based characters, Starlord 2 is a quick shot, purely because he has dual guns, which, just like Falcon previously, can fire off at a very rather fast-paced, quite accurately in fact, so Starlord prefers keeping his distance when it comes to his bounty, and as such, with that distance he keeps and the pinpoint accuracy and the pace in which he fires his weaponry, and the fact that there is two guns rather than one, mind you, makes this guy the perfect quick shot. Next up right here we have Nebula, another very difficult one to put into a battle class, but I would personally make her a bazooka for the same reasons as previously mentioned. She rocks a singleized weapon, is a weapons expert, and above all is out to destroy her enemies from a distance using those singular based powerful weapons that a bazooka would, mind you. Next up we have Rocket right here, who's potentially the most perfect bazooka on the list of characters right here, purely for the fact that he does have a singleized weapon, which is bazooka based, in the fact that it has more of a destructive nature than a fast-paced nature. And Rocket on top of that is also a weapons expert, which is very much a trait of a bazooka, mind you, hence Rocket falls under this class. Groot right here is a smasher because he is extremely powerful and absolutely pulverizes his enemies using that power in close quarters combat for the most part, and above all he does have a lust for destruction. His destructive nature, quite literally because he is a force of nature, would make him a smasher indeed. He is very much the muscle of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and so with that muscleness to him and that destructive nature, those coupled together with the melee based combat, makes Groot the perfect smasher. I am Smasher. As you can see in the photo right here, Drax has dual daggers, and that tends to be his most typical image, so the fact that he has dual weaponry makes him a swashbuckler in my personal opinion. Not only that, but he's great at using both weapons in succession with one another at great speeds, and those are all swashbuckler based traits, so hence, Drax is our first swashbuckler right here. Scarlet Witch right here is yet another sorcerer, as you can tell, because not only does she have the aesthetics of a sorcerer based on her outfits, but she also has, of course, the traits of a sorcerer, and the fact that parts of her moveset is about summoning things such as spells and orbs to blast at enemies as such. So her magicness makes her the perfect sorcerer in my personal opinion. Next up right here we have Quicksilver. Now Quicksilver is a quick shot because, you know, half of his name is in parallel towards that class, but there's also the fact that he is incredibly speedy and fast-paced, and whilst not having dual guns or anything, if he was to have such things, then he'd naturally be very fast at firing them, one would say. But above all, it's really down to the fact that he is a very fast-paced person, and that personality trait reflects quick shots quite well, so that's why Quicksilver is none other than a quick shot, despite the lack of weaponry that would make him so. Next up, we'd have AntMan, who I personally find would be a brawler, mostly because he uses his size to his advantage when it comes to melee-based combat in order to set up all sorts of different martial arts combos onto his opponents. And so he definitely is great at tricking enemies into falling into his combos as well. So above all, that martial artsness to the character, and the fact he does get up close and personal as such, would make him a brawler in my personal opinion, hence he's in this class all the more. As for the partner to Ant-Man, however, I feel like the Wasp would be a quick shot purely because of the fact that she has blasters, and so those blasters are very fast-paced and very accurate and used at a distance, mind you, which is really what makes her the perfect quick shot, mind you. And not only that, but in combat she's also much quicker than Ant-Man, being more of a martial artist than he is, and having a more maneuverable suit at the same time. So above all, that is what makes Wasp a quick shot. Next up, we have Black Panther, whom is a brawler in my personal opinion, because he is all about getting up close and personal to his opponents to set up all sorts of different melee-based combos upon them, and of course, you know, finish them off using that strategical martial arts-based combo system of his, and he also tricks opponents into falling right into those combos as well, all of which are brawler-based traits, which is why Black Panther suits this class all the more. As for SpiderMan, I personally think he would be a quick shot because there is a option in his very sophisticated Stark-based suit to where he can fire off webs at a very quick pace, and of course his webs are naturally ranged so he can keep his distance while doing so, and that fast-paced and accuracy for webs of Spider-Man definitely would make him a quick shot. But not only that, but he's also got an extremely fast-paced personality, constantly cracking jokes as such, and so those traits towards Spider-Man, of course, make him the perfect quick shot. And not only that, but he doesn't use a single web at a time. He's often using 2 webs at a time and in succession to one another to, of course, defeat his enemies. All quick shot-like. Here we have Doctor Strange, or the most obvious battle class representative of the whole list right here, because he's very clearly a sorcerer. After all, he's most commonly known as the Sorcerer Supreme outside of his main stage name, that being Doctor Strange itself, of course. And not only is Doctor Strange a sorcerer, but I'd also say that the rest of the characters within his respective franchise in the MCU are sorcerers as well, purely because they all utilize magic spells as their weaponry, and of course that is very much the trait of all sorcerers, the fact that they have that magic spellness to them, which of course they summon for spells. They don't just pop out of thin air. Well, I suppose that's exactly what they do, but that's basically the equivalent of summoning. So yes, Doctor Strange is very much a sorcerer based on his alternate names and his weaponry style, mind you.